because you know that 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, that comment had nothing to do with you and had everything to do with what their day was going or how their life was going. You're not afraid of criticism. You're afraid of abuse. Know the difference. Well, good afternoon. Maybe. Okay. I'm going to tell you that you have a problem. So the problem is that you are a visual person as an artist, right? We're all pretty visual, you know? We like and we think, and we've probably carved many little pathways into our brain about how to interpret something when it comes to something visual, right? We like visual things, okay? Turn this fan off real quick. But we like visual things. We like the aesthetics. We like to create aesthetics. So as an artist, we like these things, okay? Now here's the problem. The problem is that what you can also do with that ability to visualize something in your mind, you can also begin to visualize threats. So those things are the things that I want to talk to you today about. I want you to understand that no, you're not crazy for noticing that the world is crazy, right? And there's a certain degree of curiosity that you have as an artist where like, what does this look like? What is this like? What is this like? You know, some of the best artists and most longevity oriented type of artists, they have a long shelf life because they have drawn from many experiences and they use those experiences to come together with themselves and create something that can do a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of this. Someone that might be what you would not call a specialist, they only have one way of thinking, and so therefore when that particular specialist skill or trade or whatever is no longer viable in the market, they're out, you know? It's kind of like if you're an engineer, you know, and you only know how to code, I don't know, Ruby on Rails 2, you know, like, cool, awesome, that was awesome for a while, and then not so much anymore. That's not useful like it used to be, right? So the same way, I want you to understand that your visualization of things and threats that you see is something that you're not crazy for noticing, but I'm going to tell you what the infinite feedback loop is, okay? The infinite feedback loop is that, let's say you experience something traumatic, right? Experience something traumatic. And when you experience that traumatic thing, you're like, well, I'm not going to do that again, or that's never going to happen again. Whatever deal that you make with yourself and sometimes with something else, whatever deal that is, you begin to like, that's never going to happen to me again, right? And so when you see something that kind of looks that way, it's like, okay, we're going to burn the entire forest down, you know? And the problem with that line of thinking is that because there is always a threat on an insane planet, you're never, ever going to reach a point in time where you feel as though you have made the proper amount of precautions, the proper amount of planning, the proper amount of vigilance, the proper amount of anything to prevent that stuff from maybe happening again or being traumatized again. Tell me I'm lying. Some of y'all have not started your project because it's not because of the criticism. It's not criticism that you're actually freaking out about. It is abuse is what you're freaking out about, right? It's the guy that goes onto his laptop, and sometimes that even might be y'all. You've done this before. I don't think I ever did. But it's the guy that goes onto the laptop and they see someone's content and they don't just say that it sucks. They just say something really mean just to say something really mean, which is what you would call abuse. Just say something abusive, because in them is a bunch of abuse. So therefore, what comes out of you is what's actually really in your heart. And some people's hearts it's filled with negativity and darkness. Okay? So you're afraid of that. And you're afraid of a bunch of them piling on to the content that you make, and thus therefore you never ever start or will do anything. That's what the actual issue is. You are concerned about abuse, which I understand. So your plan is to outplan all abuse ever. Your brain knows that that's impossible. Therefore, you might do some work, but never put it out there. That's why it's just sitting there on your shelf, collecting dust, or in your backpack, or in your whatever. It doesn't matter. On your hard drive, whatever. It's just there. It will remain there because, once again, you're trying to avoid more abuse. And it is a very abusive world out there. But if that's what you're trying to do, it's never going to come out. So what's the solution then? What's the solution? The solution is not abusing yourself. That's the solution. The solution is actually you not continuing to abuse yourself. When you are being abusive towards yourself, you're like, my stuff sucks, this sucks, and I suck, and blah, 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 blah. Stop. The reason why you're even saying that about yourself is because of abuse that's been piled on you in the past. Now, I'm not saying for you to, glaze yourself up to the point where, you just sound like an arrogant prick. No, but at the same time, the people who do that, they have their stuff out. So that's a solution. Probably not a healthy one overall in terms of in the long term. Kind of makes you difficult to be around. And if you don't have people and good people around you, it's kind of hard to, survive. So I don't recommend that. But I would say that there has got to be things in you to where when those little poisonous drops hit, you're filled with so much good stuff that it dilutes any type of venom or poison. And you have to be incredibly intentional about that lifestyle. You have to be very intentional about that lifestyle. Because if you're not, and you're not careful, then that little drop of venom that someone wants to shoot at you, it's not good. I'll put it that way. That'll kill your momentum. That will kill your confidence. Might kill a lot of things. So it's the fact that you're already filled with abuse that you have taken on as an identity because of what someone said to you in 5th grade, or a bunch of people may say to you in high school or whatever the bullying was or whatever it is. You're still carrying that stuff. Why are you carrying what goofy, dumb children have said about you? They're literally goofy, dumb children. By nature, children are like that. They're goofy because, even biblically speaking, it says that children are filled with foolishness. As my voice breaks like a child. Filled with foolishness, right? It's goofy. They don't know what they're talking about. And you're taking that as an identity because of what someone said to you in school? Have you noticed some of the cool people? Everyone notices this in every generation. Well, relative to how long the public school has been available. But everyone notices this, that there's chill kids and then there's cool kids. And the cool kids were the ones that, broke all the rules and did their own thing. Wow, man, he's smoking at 15 years old, blah, 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 blah. The cool kids, right? And then we thought that they was cool. The chill kids were always just kind. They had strength. They had ability. They had talent, and they were just real chill about it. You notice, once you've noticed, the chill ones are successful. The cool kids that were effing with people and effing around and things like that, where are they now? 9 times out of 10, not good. I hope and pray that they stop being cool. When I was when I was a youth leader at YMCA, I remember I would have penalties for my kids in my line who were trying to be cool. So they would snitch on each other and be like, Mr. Justin, Nathan's being cool. And I'd be like, who's being cool in my line? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was, I would do that, right? Because it's meant you up to no good. So you're going to take the witness of the cool kid? Cool kid is usually that way because his home life usually sucked. All of them did. There's too much chaos at home. And it wasn't that, like, no one loved the guy. It wasn't like the guy or gal. It wasn't like that. It was just neglect. Just parents sometimes just weren't even paying attention at all, you know? Or maybe they were being just verbally abusive. And so they passed that abuse onto you. That's why they were filled with that. That's why it kept on coming out of their mouth all the time, you know? The chill kids didn't really talk that way. The cool kids usually had a lot of things to say to teachers and to other students and whatever else. They had to press you down in order to elevate themselves. And you're listening to them, and that's what's floating around your head? Are you serious? Here, read some books. Like, read some books. Oh, the self-help stuff is just a giant scam in the industry. Stop! That's not even what it's about. It's just about you thinking differently. Literally, just think differently. You can't hide from the world and plan for the world's chaos and plan for all that stuff. What are you talking about? We have entire governments that can't do that, and we give our money to them involuntarily, but we give their money to them. They have these giant infrastructures, and they still can't figure that out. And that's tons of people who are supposed to be bright. Well, actually, not even bright. They're the most manipulative, narcissistic, insane people that we have. And those are the ones that you would be able to be like, if anyone's going to plan and fight for our country or whatever it is, because their ego is on the line, it'd be them. And they don't know what they're doing. They can't plan all that stuff out. They would love to be able to plan out and have everything be copacetic so that you shower praise upon them at all points in history. They would love for that to happen. And they don't, and they can't do it. So you're going to plan all by yourself? And you're not crazy? Tell me how that's not going to work. Tell me how that's going to work out. No, you have to create enough good in you in terms of words, in terms of affirmations, in terms of those things. And start off small, because some of y'all are so hurt, so abused, so messed up. I get it. You look at what you've been doing or not doing, and you're just kind of like, I can't see the criticism that I put on myself as not being valid. I get it. I 100% get it. Right? But is this all that you are? Have you identified yourself only as an artist? Have you identified yourself only as an artist? That your worth is only to draw or to make music or whatever? That's your only worth? Again, I ask you, someone that you love, mentor, parent, grandparent, cousin, friend, dear friend, teacher, what would you give for them to just sit on your couch one more time? What would you give? Just have them sit on your couch for the next 5 minutes and not even say anything. Someone that you loved dearly and they're no longer with you. What would you give? 5 minutes. 5 minutes on the couch and say nothing to each other. Just have them be present. What would you give? For a lot of us, there's nothing that we wouldn't give for that. Maybe someone feels that way about you, and maybe you need to not put all your stock into your ability to perform a single trade. Maybe because someone out there feels that way about you, whether you may know them or not, whether or not you recognize them when you say that. And stop calling people lies when they say that they care about you. Stop that. No, some people want you around. So why not love them back by protecting yourself a little bit better? Actual protection, actual stuff that matters, where you are pouring into yourself. Just read something. There's tons of things to read. Like, there's a book out there called The Slight Edge or The Compound Effect. Either one of those two. It's different books for different authors. Like the Compound Effect or The Slight Edge. And those books just talk about accumulation. So that's why I have this philosophy about accumulation, because I read it from a book and I've seen that actually work well for me in real life, and it'd be great, Or another one might be the one that no one wants to really talk about, and that is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Like, that's a really good one. Why? Because if you're worried about people abusing you, then that means that a lot of you guys see people as a threat, and you don't know how people actually work. So you're looking at them and everyone as a potential threat, and because of that, you're constantly nervous, afraid, anxious, all this stuff. But if you knew how people actually work and what they're looking for, and they're not really looking for anything too different than you are, just some love and affection, and hey, do you actually care about what I want? Because if you help them get what they want, they might help you get what you want. But there's other things involved with that too. But there's all kinds of things to fill yourself up with. You can read Bringing Out the Best in People. Bringing Out the Best in People. There's things to read out there, guys. It might be a little bit hokey or whatever it is, but something to replace all the crap that someone put into your head about how much you suck. And you gotta take that stuff seriously. You have to take that as serious as that core that keeps all the shrapnel out of Iron Man's heart or whatever. Like, you gotta take it that serious. That's how serious you gotta take that. Like, the core has to be there, otherwise, good. You really do have to take it that serious. And no, you crashing out because it looks like this is going to happen again, you crashing out and sabotaging yourself. No, we're not doing that anymore. What we're doing is we are filling ourselves filled with good things so that when the venom comes, it's diluted and it's like, oh, well, I didn't feel that at all. Because people are going to people also. They can people in good ways and they can people in bad ways. And it depends on their mood sometimes. Because sometimes they can have some stuff going on with them that they're hurt and they want to hurt somebody else. Why should this person be feeling good about their stuff, about their artwork, about their lives, when I'm out here struggling? I did everything right. And she still left me. I did everything right and my kid still hates me. I did everything right, fill in the blank. And then here you are, seemingly to them, just flaunting your success and flaunting your ability in their face. And they're like, you know what? F you. And that's all that happened that day. It's got nothing to do with you. That had something to do with what they were going through. It has nothing to do with you. And you're going to crash out about some stuff that has nothing to do with you? Some of y'all's parents were just terrible. That had nothing to do with you. You got to tell that little boy, that little girl in you, that had nothing to do with me. My mom or my dad, or both, did not have the tools to deal with the stress in their lives, and they took it out on me, and I didn't have anything to do with that. Nothing. I'm a kid. All I can do is eat Cheerios and pee. That's all I can do. How is it even my fault? If I had done this more, then they would have... Shut up. No, that has nothing to do with it. You could have done that 50,000 times more. And they still would have a problem because the problem is here in them. Don't believe the gaslighting of, no, that they just did not have the tools to take care of it. And sometimes, even if it is your parents, they don't want the tools to take care of it. They want it to be someone else's fault. So, they blame it. It doesn't matter who it is. They could blame the dog. I've seen people blame the dog. It's got nothing to do with you. Nothing. That is, again, what's inside of them is just coming out. That's what's inside of them. A bunch of hate and criticism. Because of probably the way that grandma and grandpa raised them. You can break the cycle, though. You'll know when you have just existed today. And I had another video about that. Just existed today. What am I doing today? And just landing there, not trying to plan 50,000 things about how you're going to protect yourself. No, just today. What am I doing? Because you can't predict the future anyway. And you can't plan for the future the way that you would like to plan for the future. You would like to control the future to the point where no one else has an opportunity to do anything because they could be a threat also. No. It's today. What work are you going to do today? Just a little portion. That's it. Let me show you this. See? Just a little portion. That's it. Just a little bit every day. Here you go. See this effing thing? That's it. What's that full of? Filled with this. My pages. How many is that? Well, I don't know what. This is chapter 9. I think I'm on chapter 16 right now. This thing is like 900 pages so far. 915 pages, something like that. From that initial one that I showed you before. How did I do that? One day at a time. I didn't think about what was happening. The only thing I was really focused in on was being consistent, because I have what you would call a spiritual son, and I wanted to be consistent and steady for him and remove the excuses that he was having and forming in his own mind. Be like, no, I'm at a car at work just like you are, and I'm still working. I got a little poster board or what's it called? Plasterboard that I found at the dollar store, and I formed a little makeshift and cut a little makeshift board so I can have the page size that I had, because I couldn't find a clipboard that was, because all the clipboards are a little bit too big, so I wanted one at the right size or whatever. And I just did that, and I did that for years. And that's what this is. Years of work. Yeah, just years of work accumulated. That's it. Just every day. The time's going to pass anyway. Why are you thinking about the future and all this type of stuff? What have you done today? That's the only thing you need to be asking yourself. That's it. Not what threats can I prepare for 5 years down the line. What have I done today? That's it. And just keep doing that, and you'll be fine. I promise you. You will have things done. And if you're filled with good things, then when someone says, you're a doo-doo head, on the internet, be like, because you know that 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, that comment had nothing to do with you. And had everything to do with what their day was going or how their life was going. You're not afraid of criticism. You're afraid of abuse. Know the difference. And sometimes some criticism can be disguised with abuse, right? Actually, let me say that better. Some people's abuse is disguised as criticism. That's the better way to say it. Some people's abuse is like that. It's, oh, I'm just saying. It's like, no, you're not just saying. And how do you guard against that? It's like, once again, what are you filled with already? Because at the end of the day, the thing that actually matters more than anything else are really just hard sales. Really just hard sales. That's really it. That's the only thing that really matters at the end of the day. Hard sales. Because that shows something is happening, something's catching on. And just expound and get some feedback from them. But someone who is determined to hate my book or my projects because of other reasons that have nothing to do with me, am I going to govern my life after that? No, I'm not going to do that. I don't think you should either. But again, because you're visual, you see that as reality. And I'm just saying, what's the reality today? Just focus in on today, and you got it. I promise you. So, all right. It's my time. I love you all very much. I'll catch you in the remix. So let me know if you need any help kind of, getting out of your own way. There's ways to do it.